The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to, I think, our first player interview of 2023 on the Pesky Report presented by Belly Up Sports. I'm Ed Hand, and I'm joined today by Brad Chandler. Hi, Brad. And Tim Watson. Hi, Tim.
What's up, Ed? How are you?
And the reason that you're all actually listening to us right now, we've got new to the 40-man roster on the Boston Red Sox, left-handed starting pitcher Chris Murphy. How are you doing today, Chris?
Good. Thank you for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, we're happy to have you here. And before we go into too many questions, just want to congratulate you on the addition to the 40-man roster. That must have been pretty exciting.
Thank you. Yes, very, very exciting day. Middle of playing catch when it happened. I was kind of anticipating it, but not anticipating it. Just kind of going about my day, and I knew if it was right, it would happen. So,
at what point did you realize last season, like there was a chance that you were getting added to it? Because you started in AA, and by the end of the season, you were in AAA. But like, when did you start to get a feeling like, okay, they might add me?
That's hard to gauge. I would say halfway through that time in AA, I was like, I'm pitching well. It's either I'm confidently saying they either add me or I get picked up. So it's just one of those things that it's just a confidence in the back of your head just to keep doing what you're doing, keep pitching, and just kind of wait till the end of the year. But I knew it was always a possibility. I stayed healthy all year through 150 innings. So it was one of those things I've showed durability on the mound, and that's important.
You can literally just say, "Yeah, I knew from the beginning." You know, like I
No.
I knew.
I would say there was actually some doubt at the end of the season with how bad I was pitching. I was like, "Oh, might not." To be very frank with you there.
Were you so that was something that you were pretty? Your AA season got you had Brayan Bello and Brandon Walter and Brian Mott and all these really good pitchers there, that it almost made what you were doing kind of sneak up on people. And then you got brought up to AAA, and there was something that I noticed, at least in a lot of the games that you were starting, where you'd go 6 innings and be absolutely lights out, and then the 7th inning would be where you ran into trouble. So was the fatigue just starting to set in at that point?
I'm not exactly sure if it was fatigue or like a mental point or just thought I was done after the 6th, because there's a few starts where I was like, all right, get this hitter out, like that's a good start, and gave it all I had at the end of the 6th inning, and then going back out there, and it's a little draining. I'd say like there's definitely those moments where it's like, okay, I was not expecting to go 7th, but it is what it is, and you just kind of have to learn from that. And then as the season goes, once you go back out for that 7th, you need to be ready for it, or that's on me at the end of the day. So
I mean, like a lot of the pitchers nowadays go like 5 innings. So like seeing you go 6 innings, a big step, and then going out there for the 7th. Hey man, you might be having problems with the 7th right now, but now in 2023, you'll be prepared for that.
Exactly. I think I had a couple 7-inning starts in AA in 2021, but not too many in AA this year. I think there was mostly 6-inning starts. Maybe go out into the 7th to get that additional up down to get used to it, but I think maybe only 1 or 2 7-inning starts this year as well. So something I'm looking forward to next year is working deeper into games, and I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to get a complete game under my belt at some point in my pro career.
You heard it here first. Chris Murphy, complete game, perfect game, AAA.
I don't know about perfect. That's hard.
I'm one stepping you, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the seventh inning, you don't really see too many guys going into that at AAA or AA at all. I mean, Brayan Bello, I remember him doing that in the seventh inning of that no-hitter he threw in a doubleheader. But, like, you really just aren't. I mean, look at the no-hitter that got thrown when Michael Walker was making his rehab start last year in AAA. It was like 4 different pitchers, and that's most of
Yeah.
what you see these days. Like, it's not a lot of guys getting those additional innings. Have you always kind of been that rubber arm innings eater type, or is that something that's been new for you?
I've always been like a pretty healthy. I've always had a pretty healthy arm, so it's been one of those things I'm used to. Building up as a starter throughout spring training, throwing longer bullpens in the off season just to kind of get used to that, so that once I hit the ground running in spring training, I'm ready to go 2 or 3 right off the bat. And I'd say something that I've usually done pretty well is the first 2 innings I'm settling in. After the second inning, I feel like I'm getting stronger 3rd through 6th. So that's one of those things that I really like confidence wise, is flip the order around a second time and see if I do well a second time through, a third time through. I think it's one of those things that gets really fun once you work deep into games. You're like, yeah, I'm getting these guys out 3 times. So kind of just working towards that. And yeah, I've always never had injuries, never had an issue with going deep.
Question for you.
Oh yeah.
What's the adrenaline rush like when you're going out to the mound for the first inning?
I'd say that's one thing I've been trying to refine this off season, is how do I control that? Because my first inning by far is my worst inning every start. Like, if I have a 1-2-3 first inning, that's it. Like, I know I'm good to go. But I think most of my AAA starts, I walk the first guy or hit the first guy of almost every start. So it's one of those things that's conscious in the back of my head heading into next season. It's a lot of adrenaline, and it does make me wonder, like, what's it like coming out of the bullpen if I have that adrenaline from pitch 1, which I think I would be kind of excited about, because as a starter, there's a medium of having adrenaline but also being calm, and it's hard to find that happy medium. So just finding it sooner, finding it in the bullpen, I think is something that I have to learn to mellow down a little bit.
I mean, speaking of the bullpen, being added to the 40-man and all that, and the depth of lefties with the Red Sox right now. Has there been any conversation about coming out of the bullpen for you with the big league club at all this season?
There has not been conversation about it, but at last spring training, I sat down with Bushy and we discussed like what a good bullpen routine would look like if there was ever a scenario. So in AA, I had 2 starts where I came out of the bullpen, or 2 outings where I came out of the bullpen. Just kind of getting me used to that, and I think I figured out something that works for me, and just it's more quick than anything, not really thinking, just going. But it hasn't been a discussion this offseason, no.
How do you prepare differently, like when you know you're coming out of the bullpen?
It's more make sure your arm's ready. You don't want to go in there cold. You just have to trust your pitches. And as a starter, I throw a 30-pitch, 25-pitch bullpen before I go into a game. I can work on all of my pitches and throw some 2-strike curveballs or some 2-strike changeups or like an 0-0 slider, and just like work on things that I'll be doing throughout a start. But in the bullpen, once your name's called, you get hot. You just rip fastballs until your arm feels ready to go. And you just trust that off-speed stuff's going to work if you go in the game sooner than you thought. If you have a couple extra pitches, you flip over some breaking balls, throw a couple changeups, and at that point you're ready to go. You get maybe 10, 15 pitches versus 25 and paced out. So I'd say that's the difference.
Yeah. So for folks at home that aren't familiar with, that might not be as familiar with your game, what type of a pitcher are you? What do you throw?
Throw fastball, changeup, curveball, and working on 2 sliders right now. So one to throw to lefties, one to throw to righties. So a firmer one and a sweeper, as we call it, a softer one. So that's what we're working on up here right now, and that's the goal.
Which of those is your favorite to throw so far? Not just of all of your whole arsenal. Which one's your do you feel the most confident with?
My changeup by far. It's a fun pitch to throw. I've always had a natural feel for it, I guess. So it's one of those things. I kind of lost it a little bit last season, moving between the AA and AAA balls, but throwing with the major league balls all off season, finally got it back to where I want it, and feel very good about that heading into spring training.
That seems like it's a pitch that people really look for more. Like when you see like Michael Wacha, that was his big pitch in the majors. Is that something that you've always had when you were being drafted and all that, or is it something that's developed as you've gone on?
It's always kind of been there. I think I was a little more overpowering in high school. Didn't really use it much. It was almost like an ineffective pitch in high school. If I'm throwing something that is right into the hitting speed of like 82, 83 is about an average high school pitcher. So not going to throw that in there. But I thought it was good then. In college, it was pretty decent, but every single West Coast hitter can hit a changeup. So it was, and it's one of those things that I've always had in the back pocket, and it didn't become in my mind, a good out pitch until I got to pro ball, and it was like, oh, these guys swing and miss at it. They're not on a fastball. So it was one of those confidence boosts once I got into pro ball.
Were you always a baseball player, like going through high school? Did you play any other sports?
I played sports in middle school. I played a couple years of football. I played a lot of soccer, but once I hit high school, it was pretty much baseball all the way. I went to a mega high school with a lot of good athletes, so it was one of those that I wasn't going to make any other team, just focused on baseball.
Yeah, had to go with your bread and butter.
Yep, Southern California will do that too.
Yeah, seriously, we're up in New England, and it's kind of the opposite. If you're most people, if you're good at one sport, you'll be on 3 different teams.
Yeah.
But you weren't initially drafted out of high school, but you played college, right?
Yes, I went to University of San Diego.
Oh wow, that's who were some of your teammates there?
Some that we might know. I mean, Chris Bryant went there. That was not one of my teammates, but that's the alma mater is Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
Riley Adams, he's in the big
Catcher.
leagues with the Nationals. Yeah, catcher. Paul Sewald, he was there a long time before me, but he's still in the big leagues with the Mariners. Really good closer for them. There's I think we've had 87 people drafted, played with a lot of guys that have been in pro ball or still are in pro ball. We've got a few left.
Am I imagining that Steven Strasburg went there?
He went to San Diego State.
Okay. Yeah,
SDSU. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a few schools in San Diego.
Yeah, gosh. That and how far out of San Diego are you from?
About 2 hours north with no traffic. I'm from just outside of LA in the San Fernando Valley.
Did you grow up a Dodgers fan?
I grew up a Yankee fan, oddly enough.
How'd that happen?
Both of my parents are from Long Island, so they grew up pretty hardcore Yankee fans. That was a fun draft day, for sure. But to me, it didn't.
Are they Red Sox fans though?
Matter. They wear a Red Sox hat when I pitch.
Where on Long Island are they from?
Northport. They're
Okay.
both from Northport.
My dad's from Hempstead, so
Gotcha. Okay.
somewhat familiar.
Not too familiar with Long Island. I know a couple things, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, they were more my dad's area there. They were more Mets fans, but I know that it's kind of
My dad was more of a Mets fan, but turned into a Yankees fan once he was really mad that they traded Nolan Ryan. So rightfully so.
Yes.
But yeah, I grew up a Yankee and a Jets fan. Still a Jets fan, sadly, but it's a hard team to root for.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
For you,
Yeah.
not even for
better
like,
season
anybody
this
I'm rooting.
year.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
For baseball, I was a huge Derek Jeter fan. But I did go to my fair share of Dodger games, and I did love Jeff Kent. I don't know. Jeff Kent and Sean Green were the two guys that I loved watching play for the Dodgers, just position player wise. But once Kershaw became Clayton Kershaw, I would say I watched every one of his starts. So
Okay. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Lefty too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you gotten to meet him?
No, I have not. That would be a check off the bucket list. I would have to hold in my inner geek on that. So that would be interesting.
Are you into the like all of like the stats and the like the pitching metrics and that stuff?
I understand the pitching metrics. I don't dive super deep into necessarily statistics. I understand all of it. This year I kind of worked my way back from it and just focused on pitching itself, and just told myself in the off season we'll look at numbers and like what I should be doing to hitters and pitch design stuff. So that's what I'm up here at Driveline doing right now, is working on some pitch design and how to command a little bit more and getting better at that sort of stuff to make those strides with statistics.
How do you mean by pitch design? I just know from following your Instagram, it'll be like, you know, like you're shirtless with like some wires attached up to you throwing some stuff. Like, what are they actually having you do there?
So they put these sensors on your body and they turn you into a stick figure with their software, and they can see points of stress in your delivery or inefficient links with things like hip and shoulder separation or scap retraction, or where you might be losing velo or where you can gain velo, stuff like that. So it's called we call it a mocap, motion capture. It's super cool. I think the Red Sox do it, but we don't do it where we have to pretty much get shirtless and wear no pants. We do it with a uniform on. Very, very similar technology, but it's pretty cool stuff. It helps you see things that you can't see with the naked eye or even with high speed camera. So
That's really cool. Is there anything that you've that you're like, because you were talking about the two different sliders? Is that something that you've been developing through that technology?
No, that technology is just purely for mechanic purposes, to make sure I'm repeating my delivery properly every single time, to in turn make it easier to command every pitch I throw. And when it comes time to learning the new slider, I have a repeatable delivery and I can have a consistent basis on how to throw the pitch. So there will be another separate bullpen where you're fully clothed and you're throwing pitches with their other technology that can tell you exactly how many inches the pitch moves and what it's doing or how efficient it is, the spin rate, stuff like that.
Yeah. You mentioned before this started, when we were talking, that you're up in Seattle right now. And who are some of the other players that you're there with?
Ryan Zephyr-John is one of them. Joey Stock. I only know their first names. We got Connor, a bunch of new draftees. Nick York was up here hitting. Phil Sykes was up here hitting, and got like 6 pitchers up here. So got a good little group going. They live in an Airbnb. I'm in their Airbnb right now, actually.
Oh, nice.
I'm in a hotel about 10 minutes away. Just decided to hang out. We got the day off today.
Sorry, guys, I got to go do a podcast.
It's exactly what I said. I'm in Ryan Zephyr-John's room right now.
Yeah, he looked. How's he been doing? Because we were following him with the Arizona Fall League. It looks like he's somebody that really could be interesting now that he's in the bullpen. He's got that nice fastball breaking ball combo.
Yeah, he looks really good. I was watching his bullpen the other day. The slider's really coming along, so I'm excited to see what he does against hitters. I think that's what we're all really excited to do, is face hitters at this point.
Is this going to be your first year at Big League Spring Training?
Well, no, I guess I was there last year as a non-roster invite, but it was such a weird spring training. I was only over there for a week because of the lockout. So
yeah,
this is my first time being there from day one, I guess, and that's very excited for that.
Who are you looking to? Whose brand are you looking to pick while you're down there?
Last year it was Rich Hills. This year, I haven't thought about that one yet.
Chris Sale?
I've talked to him before. We're kind of different pitchers, so it was one of those things that, yeah, it's a tough one.
What'd you learn from Hill?
Might have to get. I played catch with him first day of spring training, and I learned a lot just without talking to him, just how he goes about his business. He's doing it at 42 years old. I was like, this is crazy. And the way he throws, he has intent behind every single throw he makes. And you can tell that excuse my French, he gives a shit. And it's one of those things you're like, that's why he's there at his age. Doesn't necessarily throw hard. He's 88 to 90. Just competes. So I watched his bullpens. I watched Nick Pavetta's bullpens a lot. So it was one of those things that I just kind of sat back and I just watch and learn without necessarily talking to them. Just how do they go about their business on the mound and in catch play.
When Hill throws his bullpen, does he grunt too?
Oh yeah. He's 110% in the bullpen. You have to hold in a smirk because it's a little funny. Like he'll be 88 in a game per se, and if his bullpen's 84, 85 miles an hour, just you're a little sore. It's all you got on day 2. Still grunting. So like he's throwing 103. Yeah, exactly. But he throws an invisible. It's hard to see that baseball out of his hand. He throws everything just perfectly, if I were to describe it.
Now, have you gotten to work with any of the big league catchers yet?
I have not, actually. I guess Connor Wong. I worked with
Wong,
him
I guess,
in AAA. We meshed really well chemistry-wise on what pitches to throw when. I just had some bad starts with him behind the plate, but I don't think that was a Connor Wong thing. That was a me thing. It was just one of those, like, not executing pitches. Like, I agreed with almost every pitch he called. I think about 95% I was with him. So I want to see how that goes this year at spring training and moving forward.
Which catcher have you had the best results with?
I'd say Cole Cottom was my catcher with the best results. Either Cottom or Eli. Eli Marrero is really good back there too. So, and both of those guys they pull for you as a pitcher. Like, they get mad when you don't execute pitches, and I love that accountability that they hold me to. So, when a catcher does that, when they get mad when you throw a bad pitch, or tell you to be like throw a better pitch, like let's go, or like give you one of these before they call it, it's the confidence level, I think, that separates those guys.
Yeah, it seems like giving a shit really is like a metric for you as far as like players that you have an appreciation for.
Exactly. There is like a heart component. Like, you may not be necessarily the best or the biggest guy or have the best tools, but if you care out there, like, you'll perform. Like, I think my best example of that is Nick Sogard. I think that would be my I watch every single at bat that guy takes, just because he's not going to hit a home run. And I mean, if he's listening, sorry, Nick, you don't have that much pop, but singles, doubles everywhere. And
he's got a great eye too.
He is one of the most disciplined people at the plate. He doesn't want to get out. Genuinely does not want to strike out, does not want to fly out, he wants to get on base. And it's fun watching him have a good at bat. And yeah.
What was it like watching Tristan Casas have an at bat? Speaking of discipline at the plate, just from the bench, what's that like?
He's methodical. Like, he has a routine. He knows what he's doing every single at bat. There's also an appreciation for him too. Like, he's a little crazy. I love it though. So you need to be a little crazy to play at the level that he does. And very, very methodical, has a very definitive approach at the plate, and it changes at bat to at bat depending on who he's facing, or like, you can just tell he spews confidence up there.
How do you approach a guy like that as a pitcher? Not specifically Tristan Casas, but a guy that you've read the scouting report on him, you know that he's a very disciplined hitter and he has a plan for you. How do you go into that at bat?
Well, you kind of know that you need to get ahead quick. So strike one is important. If you get behind 2-0 to him, he's hitting anything you put in the zone next. So I would say I'd have to start him soft, flip over a strike, because he's probably looking fastball first pitch to hit it the other way. doubling the gap is, I think that's his MO. Just hit it where he doesn't take too much. He takes what he's given. So it's get to 1 strike, get to 2 strikes, and see if he chases. If not, locate decently, see if he rolls over, gets himself out.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be one of those things that even the best hitters are only going to get on like 3 every 10 times, 3 times
Exactly.
out of 10.
Yep.
So, if you force contact, maybe he hits a home run, but also maybe he just flies out to the right fielder or something. Who's somebody, because you mentioned Sogard before, and I always have that question, but so you said for hitters but who's a pitcher that you think might be underlooked right now in the system?
My initial answer would have said Politi, but he got picked up. So
yeah, we had him on a couple weeks ago, and it seems like the most soft-spoken guy until like he starts talking about pitching, and then it's like, oh, this guy really knows his shit.
Yeah, he's really good. I've gotten to pick his brain a bunch, and still keep in touch with him in the off season, and he's a very underlooked guy, and I'm glad he's getting a shot. He deserves that. So, but beyond that, let me think about on the AAA staff.
It could be anybody in the system. It could be somebody in the majors that you've seen pitch. It could be somebody at like in Salem, like whoever. Like,
I mean, I will say at spring training last year, it was definitely Schreiber. He was the most underlooked guy at spring training, and
didn't even make the team.
Yeah, I was like, this guy is the nastiest pitcher I have ever seen. So
Dr. Nasty.
Dr. Nasty. I just had a name. Who was it? Oh man, I'm stumped on this one. I mean, I feel like I don't really underlook people because I play catch with them every day. Like, those are guys I know. I don't underlook them. I genuinely like watching people pitch.
No, that's fair. But somebody like Schreiber, then, like, who you think might sneak up on people this year?
Ryan Fernandez, I think, is one of those guys that might sneak up on people.
He's got that big arm. He's got that velocity. Yeah,
I played catch with him in 2019 a bunch. Very, very wild at the time, but he was always trying to throw hard, and it was, I think, 92, 94 in 2019, and I hadn't played with him a whole lot after that. He had gone through some injury or COVID happened, but watch those. I watch him throw, watch his numbers, and people tell me he's thrown 100, and I'm like, okay, that's the truth right there. Yeah, I'd say he's one of those guys.
Glad you mentioned the 2019 team, because I was saying this before we started, and that is the final season for now of the Lowell Spinners, and you were a part of that team. And as I've mentioned before, I grew up watching the Spinners a lot. It was like 20 minutes away from where I was, so I'd probably go to 8 or 9 games a year. What was it like playing there, playing at the Letcher for half your games that year in the Penn League?
It was really fun. It felt like a much more relaxed version of summer ball, college summer ball. You're just playing with a bunch of guys your age. We were all college guys, a couple younger high school guys too, but it was mostly guys around my age, just got drafted. And it felt like summer ball. There was like not a whole, like there was team chemistry at the end, but at the beginning, it's just a bunch of guys who've never played with each other before. You get to know them and have a couple beers with them, hang out, and we won a lot of games that summer. That was a really fun team. I think Yusniel Padron Artiles struck out 13 in a row in the playoff game, and that was electric. So there's definitely a lot of memories from that team. And Joe Davis and Steven Scott.
Yeah, I was about to say Big Joe.
Big Joe. I was actually in Big Joe's wedding a couple years ago. So that was fun.
What was the Big Joe wedding? Did he make you guys? Was there barbecue at it, or like what?
Yeah, it was barbecue.
What did they do for that?
They did. It was a little low budget wedding, so there was tacos day of, but night before was his dad made barbecue. It was on a ranch, really cool, down to earth, small wedding. Me and Scotty were 2 of his groomsmen, so that was a good time. Had a good time with him.
Does that make you like the third Meatball brother in a way?
I was, yeah. We were originally planning in 2020, before COVID hit, we were going to live in that trailer together in Greenville when it was Lowell. And we were like, yeah, we're living in the trailer together. Like, this is going to be awesome. We're going to pocket our paycheck. And this was before all of us got housing. So, yeah, I was the third.
Probably
the
for
third
the best.
meatball.
But
yeah,
Stephen Scott really stepped up when he got to AA last year. He really does he consider himself because I know that the scouting report on him was that he was a hitter, but he didn't really have a home position, and now he's a catcher, and he got those reps into the AFL this year.
He's only caught me a couple times at instructs here and there, but I love him behind the plate. We're best friends away from the baseball field, so it's one of those things that you kind of naturally have a chemistry. I would say he was positionless for a little bit, but his arm this past season was pretty electric. He was throwing guys out. I'm like, he's a catcher. So it's awesome for him to move up and have a position that he can thrive. And he rakes. So he has a great approach. And I feel like he's always making hard contact somewhere. So there's definitely fun watching him play too.
I got a question for you. So AA and in AAA, what were some of your favorite places, like parks? So, like, I live near Hartford.
Gotcha.
Dunkin' Park's beautiful.
Hartford's the favorite AA park. I really enjoyed Portland. Great fan base out there. I still don't understand how they wear shorts and it's snowing out, but that's I don't know. Loyal fan base for sure in Portland. But Hartford's by far the best place to play in that AA Eastern League. Worcester is, I know it's a home field, but Worcester is the place to play in AAA.
Beautiful stadium.
It's gorgeous. The big leaguers, when they came down for rehab, were saying this is nicer than the major league locker room. So
until Chris Sale
that said something.
Well, he bought them a new TV, so I don't know. It doesn't sound that bad.
That TV was already broken. It was an already broken TV. That was not his doing. He just decided to break it down like a box for us.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious how he just he walked in there like nothing was happening, and then someone just had a camera just going down there, and he just takes a bat. The kick was what got me though.
Well, he's got such long legs too. It's like a kick is going to go across the room.
I mean, yeah. His intensity, that guy just loves playing baseball. So I definitely could feel for him. Like, yeah, he didn't play a whole lot in the past 3 years. Like, it's frustrating. You go out and you don't perform the way you want to, and that guy genuinely loves to be there. He loves playing baseball every day, and I know he takes it hard that he can't. So kind of feel for him on that sense. So, yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts? Like when like a big leaguer, Seo, Waka, come down and do a rehab assignment? Are you guys like, oh, awesome, we can pick their brain, or is it like, hell yeah, we're getting a good spread?
I wouldn't really approach it as like we pick their brain. You say what's up to them. You're usually only there the day they pitch, so you don't want to bother them when they're doing their thing. You let them have their space, and you treat them like one of the guys. You don't treat them like, oh, Mr. Sale or anything like that. No,
you don't get
what's
all
up,
giddy.
Chris? Yeah. You don't get all giddy, but definitely fun getting some spread after the game for sure. Some good filet mignon is not frowned upon for me.
That's how you win over the clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a question from Brandon Brewer, who was one of our co-hosts but couldn't be here today. What are your feelings on the new robo-umps that are going to be at AAA this year? I saw a tweet from Zach Kelly the other day that just was, this is bad. That was the whole tweet. But what's your feelings and what's the general feeling that you've heard?
I'm not sure. I don't have an opinion on it yet because I've never thrown to it. But I talked to Jay Groom after he got traded, and he was like, "Dude, I get some calls that I have never gotten before on my curveball." I think it honestly depends on your repertoire, what you throw. If you throw a big curveball, I think it actually helps a lot. So glad I throw a curveball. Curveball is kind of becoming like a lost pitch in baseball with all the sliders and splitters and that kind of stuff. So I don't really know how I feel about it. I'll see how it is. But there won't be any nibbling anymore. You can't nibble an umpire zone. So there is that.
We're still going to have umpires, right? Like, I just want to, like, actually behind the plate. It's not just like,
yeah.
Okay. And the umpire can they overrule?
Yes. The system could always be wrong. Like if a curveball bounces and it's virtually unhittable, but I think it's the broken glass rule. So all it has to do is touch it. If a seam touches the zone, it's a strike. And if I throw a curveball at the front of the zone and it bounces on the back of home plate and it clips the very front of the zone, it's strike 3. Like that's if the hitter doesn't swing, like it's unfortunate. I definitely agree that there should be an umpire should be able to take that call away. Like, no, that's not a hittable pitch. But yeah. Jay Groom was telling me he was getting some calls that he's never seen before on curveballs down and curveballs up, both ways. Like curveball that just dumps over the back top of the zone that a hitter can't hit, or a curveball at the front of the zone at the bottom that's unhittable as well.
Do you guys follow what's going on with the big league club? For like, just because there's been so much free agency stuff. There was, with Xander leaving, with Rafi getting his extension, the new guys that are coming in, Yoshida and all those guys. Are like the players, do you follow that the same way fans do, or are you kind of just working on your own stuff?
I work on my own stuff. I keep up with like who's on the 40 man and like what the moves are, but I don't research them. I just kind of like, I'll see this guy play in a couple months, and just it is what it is. Like I just got added to the 40 man. There's nothing I can do about the roster. So it just kind of stand back and just watch how it works, because I've never really paid a whole lot of attention to what goes on prior to this. I've been like cognizant of it, like who's on that side, but I wasn't really too in on like what the trades were for this guy or anything like that. But now that you're up there, you kind of see who's getting traded more often, and it's there.
When you go on the road, what's outside of anything baseball related, what's your number one thing you take with you?
Number one thing I take with me. My iPad comes with me, but I'm not a gamer. I don't know. On the road, I just wake up whenever I wake up, usually decently early, go get a coffee and some breakfast, try out different coffee shops. I think that's my thing. So other than that, I play chess on my phone. I know our trainers in AAA travel with the chessboard, and we play chess a lot. So that's not it. I don't think there's anything that I bring specifically.
iPad works.
iPad, yep.
Ed, are you with us? Looks like we lost that. Ed.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Let me see. He could be texting me.
Chris, so like recently being on the 40 man, is there anybody like you're super excited to face in live BP?
Honestly, I do want to face more major leaguers. I want to see what it's like facing Devers. I want to face. Trevor Story was a guy I wanted to face. I'm not afraid to get hit around if that's what happens, but I want to have that experience. I want to face those top guys. So that's definitely in there.
And then kind of another question, like kind of like that. What is your most memorable like at bat of someone you faced last year, if you have one?
Trying to of the Red Sox or just overall during the
Just
season?
in general.
Logan O'Hoppe with the Phillies, or he was with the Phillies. He got traded to the Angels.
Good name.
He's
Good
tough
prospect.
at bat. Tough at bat. He took me deep, and I'll say it. But it was just a mistake. Changeup, middle away, with I think it was 2 strikes, and he just pulled it over the fence. I was like, okay, good for him. But he's a tough at bat, and I genuinely love those. He crowds the plate, and that kind of stuff annoys me a little bit just as a pitcher. But it does. I'm not mad at him. It's just he's on the dish. I can't. It's hard to work inside to a guy that has his elbows over the plate, and I have appreciation for those guys that help force me to execute pitches. So I'd say that my string of, I think, probably faced him 10 times last year. So
How many times did you win?
I don't even know. I just know he clipped me once or twice. I know he's hit a couple balls hard. I think I struck him out once or twice, but I know he took me deep, and that's one of those things he got me.
Mr. Mustache? Have you ever been asked to throw at somebody?
In pro ball, no, that's not a thing. I hope not, at least. Don't want to do it. Happened in high school.
Somebody in high school told you to throw at somebody?
When I threw 82, hit him in the back or hit him in the leg, and I wasn't throwing hard. I was a freshman. Kid pimped a home run. It wasn't off of me. It was off of a different kid. We were losing 12-0. I went in there just to hit a guy.
You come out of the pen?
I had thrown 95 pitches 2 days prior. He goes, "Can you hit him?" I was like, I mean, yeah. I think I was throwing maybe high 70s at the time. I was a freshman or sophomore. It was, yeah. I have to answer the question.
Now, if you you were part of that really good AA rotation. If you could take one pitch from any of the guys on opening day there, so Brian Bayo, Brandon Walter, Jay Groom, Victor Santos, if you could take one pitch from any of those guys, and let's just throw Brian Mata into the mix too, because he was rehabbing at that point. But what pitch guys would you add to your arsenal, and why?
I'm gonna have to go with Brandon Walter's 2-seam, or his either his 2-seam or his slider. I don't throw a 2-seam, and he just I can't comprehend how he throws a baseball the way he does. It's just nasty. So everything moves.
You might be pleased to know that he said your changeup.
He said my changeup. His changeup is one of the best changeups. Okay, interesting. All right,
He's getting attacked later today.
Yeah.
Wait, was it? No, sorry, it was not your changeup, your fastball. Sorry, because he said that he doesn't hit too high on. No, it was his fastball. I'm sorry about that.
His fastball's from the side. I would kill for a fastball that's from the side and moves I don't know. That thing moves 3 feet before it gets to home plate. I think you have to guess to get a hit off of him. You can't just react because everything moves. Everything starts down the middle and everything ends in different places. So he's funky.
Checking for see what of our.
Are you in New York?
Am I in New York?
No. Ed's internet's all screwed off. So.
No, my internet's been real screwy. Okay, here's a question from Sean Palmer. At what point in your life did it hit you that you might actually have an opportunity to be drafted and play professional baseball? Did you have a moment where you were like, "Damn, I'm good"?
I remember the first time I realized that I could play college baseball, and so I would say about 88 miles an hour was about that mark was pro ball. But the first time I realized I could play at the next level before I even thought about that was sophomore year of high school. I went from 78 miles an hour to 85 miles an hour in less than 2 weeks. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
that's a jump. And I was throwing every day, and it was consistently off a mound, getting doing stuff on a radar gun and seeing what I could do, and built arm strength super fast, plateaued a little bit at about 87 miles an hour, and then grew a little bit more, and I was 88, and then 90 came not too far after that. And that was when I was like, okay, a lefty that throws 90 in 2015, that was pretty hard. Now 90 is slow. So the game's
Yeah, you're
evolved
still
a little bit
left-handed,
since
though,
then.
so
It's still
that goes a
left-handed,
long
yeah.
way. What do you think you'd have done if you weren't playing baseball? Like, what did you study in school?
I studied history in college with the intent of, if I go back and finish, when I go back and finish, if I do want something to fall back on, I'll go to law school and see where that takes me. I know history majors are an easy way to get into law, but I was actually, growing up in baseball, I was super fond of biomechanics, and that was my dream to study, but San Diego didn't offer it. Too small of a school to offer biomechanics. So I'm not really too sure on what the backup plan will be after baseball is over. So right now, I guess we'll say law degree or coach baseball. But yeah, those are the options right now.
What do you like to do outside of baseball?
Play some chess, play golf. I cook a lot in the off season because cooking isn't really a thing in season. You cook breakfast at home.
What do you like
but
to
every
cook?
other meal. I really explored ethnic foods this off season, so I learned how to make a lot of Indian food. So buttered chicken tikka masala. I made a bunch of curries, and I was living in NorCal with my girlfriend, so it got cold at the end of October, early November, and she was like, it's soup season, so I learned how to make a bunch of soup. Made the Olive Garden sopa toscana soup. That is really good. I can make that. I could eat that like 4 or 5 days a week, and it's amazing.
I can eat the breadsticks all day.
Yeah, and breadsticks are good too. Yeah.
Were you playing in the Worcester chess tournament that they were doing?
Yeah, that's what got me hooked on chess. I had played chess, like I knew how the pieces moved, but I had never had like a strategy to playing chess. And when I don't like losing. Like I know I'm going to be bad at chess when I first start, but I didn't like losing. So downloaded the chess app, and I think I was playing like at least 4 hours a day of just quick 10-minute games of chess. At like after the game was over, it was played like 10 or 11 chess games before I went to bed. And I think all my free time spent in Worcester for that last month and a half of the season was studying a little, like chess openings or like, what do I do here? Solving puzzles. And yeah, I think that was kind of a cool getaway, work the brain a little bit and playing guys. And I'm sure you were in the locker room. You could see us like just playing the chessboards everywhere. I didn't finish. I wasn't very good at that point when we had those tournaments. Didn't place, didn't do great. I think I won one game, but say I've gotten a lot better now over the off season.
So who's the best in the locker room?
It was Dave Herrera, the trainer. He has the king tattooed on his forearm. So he's not a grandmaster, but he was really good at chess. Player wise, Darwinson Hernandez was really good. Devlin Granberg really good.
I heard Franchi and Wong were both pretty good.
Franchi was sneakily really good, and Connor Wong kicked my ass a couple times. He plays aggressive. Yeah, there's different play styles. It's really funny. Like the same way guys pitch or the same way guys play baseball, there's different styles of play, and you kind of get to see it all and face different people.
man. So do you guys have any more questions?
I've got one. So kind of going back to how you were saying, like, you love guys with lots of heart. I know you grew up a Yankees fan, but I'd imagine you at least had some respect for Dustin Pedroia growing up.
Without a doubt, I've never hated a player. I just enjoyed the game of baseball. I was never like a Boston hater. Like I loved the rivalry games because it was the most competitive. Like if there's a brawl, like the Joe Kelly brawl was timeless, and is one of those like, yeah, that's awesome. Like the Boston fan base, like you pull for a moment like that, and yeah, I think the rivalry is honestly the best.
It's
Looking
not like
forward
it used
to
to be.
flare-ups like that. I know it's different game now, but we all play for. I guess technically they say you play for all 30 teams when you're in the minor leagues. You never know when you're going to get traded. You're not necessarily in the big leagues, but it's still competitive baseball regardless. You want to win.
I have one for you, but I got to look it up real quick. Because there was a brawl last year.
Well, I'm going to ask my last question then before you.
No,
I'll ask my
it.
last question then before you do, Brad, which is
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I can't tell if my internet is still okay. No, I think I'm good. Do you have any pets, Chris?
My dad has one of my pets. His name's Joey. He's a German Shepherd. He's one of the coolest dogs ever. He's a big goofball, doofus. I only saw him a couple times this off season, but my dad takes great care of him. I got pictures all the time. And then me and my girlfriend saved a cat this off season. His name is Frank. He's an 8-year-old. He's an 8-year-old, just old guy, super cool, down to earth. Like he doesn't hurt you. Never scratched me. Just kind of a nice cat that just chills with us and sleeps at the foot of the bed. And so she'll be taking care of him. And those are my pets.
Did you know that Eli Marrero has a pig?
I had no idea that Eli Marrero has a pig.
Yeah, he has a pet pig that I forget what he said the name was, but the direct translation to English is Chunk.
That's funny. Oh, I had no idea. He lives in Florida. I mean, that doesn't surprise me now, but
yeah, that was my favorite of any Red Sox pets that I have heard of. That's a dream of mine to have a pet pig. So I'm always looking for that sort of thing.
All right. So my last question is about a brawl that happened up in Portland with Tyreek Reed.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was fun. That was fun. I was in the dugout making so Lance Carter, the pitching coach, was telling me it was so cold out. Both teams are wearing navy blue and red jackets, so you can't tell who's who. Wearing my gloves, and Carter's telling me, you have to mix a hot chocolate packet with coffee. It's so good. So I'm making that, and I finish making it. I stir it up. Tyreek gets hit, and I was like, what's going on? I had to just throw it on the ground. I was so disappointed about that. But that was just watching the video. That was one of the best. I mean, you can't condone fighting, but that was one of the best fights I've ever seen. One of the best brawls in baseball, period.
Yeah, he just he's walking down the first baseline, and all of a sudden he turns around and he just goes over to him and just knocks him out.
It was one of those situations. It was Tyreek was the only guy that felt bad. He's genuinely the nicest person on the team, and he wouldn't harm a fly, but that kid kind of asked for it. Oddly enough, he kind of said, "Do you want to fight?" Tyreek said, "Do you want to fight?" And it just kind of happened.
I don't think the other guy wanted to fight. I think Tyreek just took him out before he could fight.
Yeah, well, there was some words. Tyreek was like, "You don't want to do this, man." Told him he was just running a first, and he's not an ill-willed person. He was pretty torn up about that. He felt really bad that kid got hurt for the rest of the season after that. Once he went to go
I didn't know
tackle.
that part of it.
Yeah, he got hurt for the rest of the season. He went to go tackle David Hamilton, and I think he tore some stuff in his knee, a couple ligaments in his knee. But Tyreek was like, "Man, I shouldn't be fighting." We're like, "Dude, like, watch the video." Like he was like he was screaming at Tyreek. It was a very unfortunate situation that happened, but it was good for the team. We ended up coming back and winning that game, pretty sure. And I think we won like the next 6 or 7 games. So you kind of look at it from that standpoint, and you have like a little bit of camaraderie as you do that as a team. I guess that's a really bad way of looking at it. I do not condone fighting. No one cancel me on the internet, please.
Have you ever been in a fight on the field?
There was a game in college. I accidentally hit the same guy in the knee twice. I didn't have the most command, never have. Hit the same guy twice, and he tried charging the mound, and our catcher tackled him and kind of ended it there, and that was really it. But no, I've never started a brawl per se.
You ever get ran at, like after you hit somebody? You said your catcher stopped somebody, but like, all right, you hit somebody, they're going at you or whatever. Like, what's your thoughts there?
It hasn't happened, but I wouldn't back down from it. I don't think I would just statue and stand there. I wouldn't run away. I'd probably go towards them, to be honest.
Headlock.
Yeah, either Nolan Ryan headlock.
Nolan Ryan, do the Joe Kelly, whatever.
Yeah. Those are timeless fights, but it's something I hope I never have to be in the situation of. But I'm not going to say I'm afraid of that situation. If it happens, it happens. I guess we'll just see. Time will tell.
Oh man.
Hopefully it doesn't.
Hopefully it doesn't.
Well, thanks again for joining us today, Chris. Is there a place on social media that people can follow you if fans are interested?
My Twitter is Chris Murphy07, and my Instagram is Chris Murphy08. So, if you guys want to give me a follow, that'd be awesome. But no worries if not.
do the numbers mean anything?
7 Mickey Mantle is one of my first numbers. My dad loved Mickey Mantle, so had that number growing up all throughout. I guess like Little League, and then once I got to college, number 7 is the shortstop's number. I do not play shortstop, but number 8 was available, and ended up just riding with that for a long time. I was 8 in college. I try to have the number 8 in my numbers now, or something that adds up to it, or something along those lines. But a number is a number at this point.
Fair enough.
Well, best of luck to you in the spring, and my
lights just went off. Sorry about that.
Whoa! Your lights went off, but your internet's still good. That's certainly something. Well, we'll.
Sorry about that, guys.
We'll be hopefully still in touch with you come the season. But thanks again for coming on. Just best of luck.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Hopefully,
see you guys in Worcester. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem. Jesus.